I was wondering how long it would stay up there because I forgot how long I left it, and then I'm like, it's getting a little long. I'm just gonna stop it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Film Better Show. I am, of course, your host with the most Phil Better. And with me this week, as always, pretty much now is Aaron Talks Film, the pop culture expert. I want to thank everyone who's listening. And if you weren't really confused at the beginning of this podcast, what I was saying, it's our intro is a little movie that I made, and I forgot how long it was. And so you're probably wondering, like, what is he talking about? It's if you catch the live shows. This week, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about a whole bunch of stuff, and we're going to ride into the sunset a little later. But before we do, we're going to jump into news and catch up with my main man, pop culture. Aaron, how are you?
I am very well. I am very tired, but as you are, as we've just discussed before we went live, we're both very tired. But yes. I think we're doing well. I think we're coping and we're getting through it together like a true team.
It was a crazy last few weeks. Some people know I work at a pub, and I live in Montreal, and the Montreal Canadiens made it to the Stanley Cup Finals and pushed it to 5 games. And I also work at the sports pub, and it's Euro Cup, so got a lot of nights of craziness with that. But you have like a brood of children of your own. You have your own football team out there.
Yes,
don't you?
I'm not far off. I think with just a couple more additions. I'm not good at any sports, so I wouldn't be any help. But
you can coach. You can be the coach.
Yeah, I'll be a cheerleader. I suppose. There you go. I'll look good in a skirt. That's my addition to any kind of sports team.
Love it. The skirt wearing man. But apart from that, how are you, sir? Anything new and exciting in your world?
Not really. I watched the Indiana Jones. Is it quadrilogy?
We'll go with the quadrilogy for now.
I'm nearly at the end of Crystal Skull. That's actually better than what I remember. I've been slating it for many, many years, but it's fine. It's an addition to the franchise. Yeah. I've been watching those. I watched Black Widow last night.
Yes, saw that you posted a review on your YouTube channel, so go out and listen to that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, on Aaron Talks Films on YouTube. Yes.
Hold on. Wait. Where's it? Boom. There we go. Look at that. You got your own ticker.
Yeah, I like it. It's very professional. Yeah, I watched that last night, and it was really good. I won't go into any spoilers or anything, but I enjoyed it.
So, funny enough, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if I am going to pay to see it yet or just wait for it to come out on Disney Plus for free. I heard people didn't like it.
Really?
Yeah. One of my friends who watched it before was not a fan of it. Like, watched it. Like, I talked to them on Friday, I believe. Can't remember. I don't know what day of the week it is. It's Saturday, right? Yeah, it's Saturday.
It ends in day. I know that much.
Okay, good. It ends in day. We're good. It could be yesterday or tomorrow day, but or present day or future day. Oh my God, there's so many days. But he was saying that it was not enjoyable.
Wow, so, I'm surprised. I really enjoyed it for what it is. It's essentially a sequel, prequel, origin story. I think it's really good and a strong addition to the MCU. Actually, I think it's one of the better movies of the MCU.
Interesting. Okay,
it's up there. It's not the best one. It's easily in the top 10. Easily, I feel. Yeah.
Interesting. We're gonna probably break down the MCU verse, the first saga, the Infinity Stone. I think that would be a good series, maybe just to do something like that.
I'd love that.
How many movies are there?
It's 73,000, I believe.
Movies.
Yeah, at least 73,000. I don't know, 26? Is it 25, 26?
We could do a podcast a day on that.
We could.
That could be something to look into. But that's enough of...
That's an off-air conversation.
Yeah, that's an off-air. That's something else we're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to jump into some of the news. And the first set of news, if you believe it, actually kind of relates to the movie we're talking about later in the show, only that there will be a grizzly bear in it, and that's pretty much the only connection probably to the movie that we're reviewing. But there's going to be cocaine, but also Kerry Russell, Ray Liotta fighting a cocaine grizzly bear. You got to tell me more about this, Aaron. What's going on?
I know very little about this movie. I saw the headline and I thought, what a brilliant yet absolutely stupid idea. It's up there with Sharknado. You know, just from looking at it from the outside in, not really knowing a lot. It's Elizabeth Banks, who I thought...
that I was about to say, like, Elizabeth Banks has had some good movies. Like, this is, and it's okay. So what I have here is Ray Liotta and Kerry Russell are among the new cast members announced for Elizabeth Banks' upcoming thriller, Cocaine Bear. Like,
it's a thriller. That's I think thriller. I think Seven.
Yeah,
or, you know, movies along that kind of line. I don't think of bears
cocaine.
that get coked up and then go on a rampage. That's a B movie horror, is what that is.
Yeah, that's on the Sci-Fi Channel late at night, you know, and there's probably boobs going to be in it. Like, it sounds like a 90s movie.
Yeah, I know very little about this. I just thought it was funny. I thought it was the best way to start this podcast off because
with a laugh.
I'm so like I don't know what I can say about this that will make it any more interesting than what it already is. And all we have is the title, you know, Cocaine.
And like Ray Liotta, like, you know, Ray Liotta isn't like, he's this amazing actor that had a chance and then went into B Central Life and now is kind of like, and then you have Kerry Russell, who's kind of like a name.
Yeah,
like she's a great actress, and it's like Cocaine. This, like, I can see Ray Liotta now being in that type of movie, but Kerry Russell and Elizabeth Banks.
Even still, if Ray Liotta was cast in the next, you know, big blockbuster movie, you know, he's still an actor. He's still a very
Like, for me, it's like, okay, grizzly bear, cocaine grizzly bear, with Ray Liotta's name attached to it. I'm like, I can see it because it's something that I can see him doing because he doesn't really care. He's like, it's a paycheck. And the next 2 weeks later, it can be announced that he's in the next Star Wars movie, and I'll be like, yeah, okay, I can see it.
I just think it's crazy. I really want to see what happened. I just want to see this movie. I want it now. I need it now. I need to see what is going on.
I'm gonna love when it comes out, and then you see the advertisement for it, and you're like, oh my god, I forgot about this, because this is an announcement you forget about.
Yeah, again, it's B movie territory.
Yeah.
It's been announced. It's gonna get made for, I can imagine, a very low budget. I can't wait to see the CGI of the bear. I can't wait for that. That's gonna be probably the best thing in cinematic history ever. I'm putting it out there. This is gonna be the best movie ever in history. It's great. This is so stupid. Again, I put this in for a joke, and it's just every time I think about it or talk about it, it's just getting more and more exciting.
Let us know in the comments if you're watching this live or the replay what you think of Cocaine Grizzly or Cocaine Bear with Ray Liotta and Kerry Russell. Let us know if you would go watch it, what you think of this story about, everything like that. We'll read it up on next week's show. Moving on. Because we're talking Disney just before. The Simpsons are happening again. What's going on here?
It's very close.
Very close.
Just before the world shut down, they was having talks. The showrunner Al Jean, he worked on the first Simpsons movie, which again is a movie that struck me by surprise and was way more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be. Because you're the same age as me, give or take a few months. So our childhood was The Simpsons. The whole of pop culture, even now, children know who The Simpsons are. It is everywhere. It went on for so long that a lot of people like us dropped off, and you know, we still remember it fondly, but we don't watch it religiously. And then the movie came out, and what a hit! It was absolutely incredible, and I really enjoyed it. So news that they were having talks and moving forward on making a sequel was very exciting, but then everything again shut down. So for now, it is not happening, but I can imagine with the way that things are going, the way we're progressing, this sort of movie, I know that these movies are hard work and there's a lot that goes into them. They could knock this out in a couple of weeks. You know, Disney,
give it a few, like 3 months. I think in 3 months,
yeah,
like with the money of Disney behind it, like now it's not just Fox behind it. You have Disney money. Like they print movies pretty much, and they get the whole division at animators on it. It's done within days. Like key shots, key frames are done, and then they just computer generate the rest of it like they do. No, this. I love the first one was ridiculous. But like you said, we fell off. I catch it occasionally, and you're like, "Oh, it's chuckle, chuckle, chuckle," occasionally. But the fact that they jumped the shark and were able to recover from jumping the shark and called it out that they're jumping the shark, and continued on to a point where they're jumping the shark a second time.
Yeah.
Like this is an amazing series. Like I love The Simpsons. It's not my cup of tea anymore because of I've grown out of that humor type thing, but. Yeah, I remember used to watch it religiously or trying to when I was a child.
Yeah, I mean, again, if I walked past the TV and this was on, I wouldn't turn away. I'd happily sit down and watch it, no matter what episode it is, even if it's a newer one that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
From what I hear, kind of, they're trying to relive the glory days, but it's not quite there.
But again, it's just enough for the new generation to enjoy it, like our kids and that can enjoy it because it's not as vulgar. It's a little more PC because it's 2021 and not 1990, where there were no rules. It was the Wild West. So now they're like becoming more cultural appropriate and all that, but they're still being able to recycle the jokes from the old seasons and that. But it's for a new generation, so they're cleaned up and they're funny. They know how to work it. So yeah.
And again, just from a pop culture standpoint, Simpsons are beloved the world over. They're well known the world over. And if another movie will make money regardless. And that's what, as we've said a lot of times before, these business heads, they see the dollar signs and they want a new movie. They're going to go out there and get it. And this is the sort of thing that will get them money. So I would be surprised if this doesn't happen by the end of the year or at least next year.
I can't wait to see it. It's going to be great. They just released the thing on Disney Plus with Loki.
Yes, I have not watched the Simpsons version yet because I've only just caught up with Loki.
Yeah.
I decided to watch the rest of Loki yesterday before Black Widow, just in case they're not connected in any way. Spoiler alert! But I watched it just in case. But exciting times for Loki. You okay?
Sorry. I'm still a little tired. Finished the shift at the pub. Now this is the one I'm excited about. We all know Mr. Zack Snyder. Snyderverse released the Snyder Cut and that. His pitch to Disney or Lucas for Star Wars was turned down, but Netflix likes money.
As we have already established.
Yes, with Army of the Dead, which is both great and horrible at the same time. They're making a movie called The Rebel Moon.
Yes. 10 years ago, I believe it said, Zack Snyder went to... Was Star Wars owned by Disney 10 years ago? I honestly don't know.
Can't remember.
But whoever owned Star Wars at the time, Zack Snyder went to them 10 years ago and said, I have a script treatment here for a Star Wars movie. That would have been just before the recent trilogy that got made. So whether it was to do with that or anything, I don't know. But he went to them and said, I have this idea for a Star Wars script. Some talks happened, but for whatever reason, it did not happen. So Netflix picked up on this and they took the script.
So Disney has owned it since 2012. So nearly
so 9 years. So yeah, it would have gone to Disney. But for whatever reason, it didn't happen. So Netflix have picked up this script and I can imagine he's tweaked it slightly so that it doesn't involve Luke Skywalker or anyone else that's in the Star Wars universe. And they're just going to make an original sci-fi epic called Rebel Moon.
That's going to be good. I'm looking forward to that. Shot in a Zack Snyder style. Like, if it's Zack Snyder directing it, it could be just a beautiful piece of work. Like Army of the Dead was beautifully shot. I found like the colors, It was a well done. It was like a video game movie. Like it was like if you were inside a video game being shot as a movie. So it's like that weird type.
It's a cutscene in a video game, isn't it?
Yeah,
because cutscenes in video games now are roughly 2 hours long. So
yeah, pretty much. Like the game is 5 minutes and it's a cutscene, pretty much.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking forward to this. It's probably going to be a badass, epic, awesome thing, and you're probably going to see very heavy Star Wars overtones in it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be Star Wars light. It's gonna have that feel and look of a Star Wars movie, but it's gonna have that Zack Snyder sprinkle and somewhat of an original storyline, because they're gonna have to tweak it enough where it's not a complete Star Wars ripoff, but they're gonna leave it similar enough where they can sort of get those fans in and probably please them. It's unlikely because
it's like a Galaxy Quest. They're probably going to end up being a Galaxy Quest, because a lot of Star Trek fans say that Galaxy Quest is one of the best Star Trek movies.
Yeah, it's in like the top 5 of Star Trek movies, and it's not even a Star Trek movie, which just goes to show how brilliant that movie is. I apart from the reboot series, I've not watched a lick of Star Trek yet. I'm still debating on whether to jump into that. But
I enjoyed it. It's more of a Kelvin verse than a Picard verse.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed the rebooted movies, there's a good chance you'll enjoy Star Trek Discovery.
Okay. Well, when I get time, which is hardly ever, I will jump into that. I still need to get into that Western that you recommended last week.
Oh, Yellowstone! I just finished season 3. My god!
Yeah, it's there. It's in my head. It's in my head list, but I've not had time yet. So
don't worry about it.
Yeah, I will get to it. But yeah, Galaxy Quest, brilliant movie. Zack Snyder doing a Star Wars-esque movie. I'm all for it. Straight up.
And here's the last one. Sad.
Yes, I'm never sure whether to open a show with this or finish on a show with this sort of news.
Well, we're gonna do a little dip here because we started off with some excitement with the Cocaine Grizzlies. We're gonna do a little dip here. We're gonna end on a high because we're gonna be reviewing a great Western. Yes. So unfortunately, it looks like Lethal Weapon 5 and Goonies 2 seems to be on an indefinite hold, if you will, following the untimely passing of Richard Donner.
Sad news this week. 91 though. I mean, what an innings! But yeah, the mastermind behind Superman, those movies, or just the first one and part of the second one, the Goonies, Lethal Weapons. He's behind so much classic cinema, and he is going to be a big miss. So obviously our thoughts and prayers go out to his friends and family in this dark time. Rest in peace, Richard Donner. But because of this, Lethal Weapon 5 and Goonies 2, which he was progressing with, it wasn't signed on. They weren't definite yet.
Official.
They were moving forward. Lethal Weapon 5, I was all for. Goonies 2, still not sure, because that's one of my favourite movies of all time. Is it too late to do a sequel? That's a conversation for another time. But obviously,
I would say, depending on how Afterlife does, we'll decide on whether or not Goonies 2 can happen.
I'm very rarely a fan when they do a sequel to one of my childhood favorite movies and they do it 20, 30 years later. But again, that's a conversation that we do not have time for.
No, we don't.
Yeah, without Richard Donner there especially, it's not going to be the same. It says that they probably won't happen. But again, with Hollywood and the way the wheels keep turning, the show must go on.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah, they will happen eventually, I feel. But with this news, there's going to be a big setback, so we could be waiting a few more years yet. But again, it's sad news. So the last thing you want to be thinking about is how can we make money off of his properties? That's not what we want to be talking about right now.
No, not at all. Now we're going to jump into the second part of the show. We only got about 10 minutes, so we'll make this kind of quick. Oh, there you go. You're getting your stents. No, you're not getting a Stenson. You're getting a bowler cap because you're British, obviously.
But this is the hat that he wears.
It's true.
It is true. It's
Yeah.
very uncomfortable though, so we're going to take that off. It was more for a gag than anything, so we're going to put that away.
Yes, we are talking about Young Guns, an amazing movie, amazing Western that stars Emilio Estevez, his brother Charlie Sheen,
Yes.
Lou Diamond Phillip, what's his name? Keith Sutherland.
Yeah, Dermot Mulroney.
Yeah.
These are the sort of the other members of the Renegades. Terrence Stamp, brilliant. Jack Palance. Terry O'Quinn was in this movie. Wow, I didn't even notice him. It says here Christian Slater as well, but he was in a sequel. But yeah, classic Western. One of my favourite Westerns of all time. I remember seeing the second one first, the sequel, before I saw the first one. But the first one is it's iconic. It's great. And it introduces you to that idea of Billy the Kid, of the, growing up, you hear of Billy the Kid and the iconic status that he has when it comes to the Old West. But when you see this movie, not 100% factually correct,
very far from facts.
Yeah, you're not going to get that with a big Hollywood movie, because they want to tell a story and it may not be as interesting as the real story, so they have to Hollywood it up. But they've done such a great job of it. It actually cements Billy the Kid's legacy that much more.
What it is also is because because they were romanticized by the newspaper at the time, because back then the newspaper didn't really have that journalistic integrity, so they did, to sell copies they need to be flamboyant, so they were more like the Sun, not the Sun I guess, but like rag magazines today. They would be considered rag magazines today, whereas newspapers today have journalistic integrity and they need to factual, and they're not supposed to be like super outrageous. But here you have stories about Billy the Kid being like this amazing thing, and it's really hard to like fact from fiction. Because you have what Hollywood has been pushing down for the longest time with Westerns and stuff. So you're like, well, it's possible like that he did this. And, it's just like, it's like a Robin Hood story. Cause it's like, we know Billy the Kid existed, just like we know Robin Hood or someone like Robin Hood, but his story's been changed so much because of our generation, like the storytelling abilities, like who was really Billy the Kid?
Yeah. Like we've basically said, it's a big departure from what Billy the Kid probably was.
Yeah.
As far as we're aware, the real Billy the Kid was just, he was a cattle rustler, I believe is the term. He stole some cows and then he was in a war. It's not this romanticized version of him being, the fastest drawer in the West. He didn't go out and kill hundreds and hundreds of men like he does in the movie. We even see that in the movie, the way the newspapers escalate his
notoriety.
Legend. Yeah, his notoriety, his legend, and just make him out to be this big, huge thing that he wasn't. I mean, in the movie, he does kill a lot of people, and he does enjoy doing it. And that, as bad as that is, it's also quite charming the way Emilio Estevez puts that across, and you actually kind of fall in love with the character. But there's even a point where I believe in one of the newspapers they say that he's killed this many men, and when he kills another man, he turns to his friends and says, "Is that 10?" And they say, "No, it's like 6." And he goes, "We'll just round it up to 15 then." And like he perpetrates this. Yeah, he perpetrates this lie of who he is because it will make his legend grow and make him out to be much more than what he is, much more nefarious in the West. So it all goes in his favor, but it also doesn't, because it makes him much more of a wanted man.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, Emilio Estevez for me is one of those great actors that you feel should have done a lot more in Hollywood, but didn't. For whatever reason, didn't really stick it. He didn't really he got that chance, but for whatever reason, he didn't just take over Hollywood, and he really should have done. He's a leading man, and I feel like he should have done a lot more than what he did.
Oh yeah, no, he was he's an amazing actor, and he was given chances, and I guess he just decided, no, I don't want to. His heart wasn't really in it or something. Or he just got tired. I don't know, but
Yeah, it's incredible. Like again, Charlie Sheen's a great actor as well, and it's just weird that he became the breakout star and he became this big iconic figure, whereas Emilio Estevez kind of drifted into the background. And it's great. They're both great actors. Don't get me wrong, but it's just crazy how they didn't have that sort of parallel success,
yeah,
which they should have done. I know Emilio Estevez is still around. I believe he's in the Mighty Ducks series. Is that right?
yep.
Yeah.
Great series, great series.
Yeah, I've not got around to that yet. Again, that's on my mental list, which I've not started yet. But yeah, his portrayal of Billy the Kid for me is the iconic version of Billy the Kid. There's other Billy the Kids in
Pop culture.
In pop culture around. There's ones in Bill and Ted. There's plenty of others that have been portrayed, but for me, he is the iconic version, and he is the true version in my eyes. Just because the way he portrays that character is just, it's like I say, he's a terrible person and he's not quite right in the head, but his charm and his wit and the way he just handles himself just makes me fall in love with that character. And that laugh gets me every time. I used to be able to do that laugh. I can't do it. Maybe I finally went through puberty. My voice isn't quite the same, but I can't do it anymore. And I regret it so much because that laugh for me is just, it makes me tingle when I hear him.
Ooh, makes you tingle. I like that.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, this movie is fun. It's just it's a Western that is entertaining. Because you watch some of the older Westerns and they're like, they drag. I feel like they drag. Whereas this one has just enough oomph that you're like, yeah, this this is cool. You're invested in these characters even though they're bad, and you're like, oh my god. Again, romanticizing the idea of the old West.
Yeah.
For a newer generation, I guess this is how I look at it. Like, you look at the old, let's like the old Magnificent Seven, which was made probably a few years, closer to the old West than to the modern age.
Yeah.
And then and that was for our parents pretty much, and our grandparents kind of watched those movies and they're like, oh my god. And then you had,
sorry, I enjoy the remake of that.
The remake was fun.
Yeah.
Then you have this, which was more our generation, the Gen Xers and the early millennials, because it was like, this is like so much fun. This is a Western. And then you get the remake of the Mag 7, which didn't do so well because it was too far away from the Old West. And we're like, the Old West didn't have explosions like that. That doesn't work physics. But then you get a show like Yellowstone. And I started watching Yellowstone because I watched this. I was like, I'm in a Western type mood. And Yellowstone takes the West and brings it into the modern day. And so it's like, oh, I like this because this is a Western I can watch and I can believe that it's an actual like Old West in the modern day, because I can't believe a cowboy Indian thing, because it's like, no, man, because you can't lie to me, because I know I can go look up the history and that shit ain't right. Like if they're going to do a Western movie now, they have to portray how horrible it is. You can't glamorize the West anymore because we're coming to an age of, accountability.
Yeah, I picture it sort of being like The Revenant, and that sort of lifestyle, and how just dull and boring it would have been. It wouldn't be exciting gunfights at the OK Corral and steaming into town on your horse and starting a gunfight. It wouldn't be any of that. It wouldn't be the notoriety that they get in these Hollywood movies. But this movie came at a time where that sort of thing was acceptable, late 80s. So you could make a movie like this where it is very unrealistic, especially when it comes to the true story of these characters, because these are all real people. If you look into it, they're all real people. But you should see the pictures of some of them. They do not, Kiefer Sutherland's character does not look like that in real life. Absolutely nowhere near it. But they sort of take this idea, they take these names, and they just sprinkle a bit of Hollywood magic over it. They give us Young Guns and this big epic story. And it's a redemption story, isn't it? So they're not necessarily bad guys. Billy the Kid, he's got a few screws loose, but in his head, he's doing the right thing. which he kind of is, because he's taken on these very evil bad guys, and instead of doing it the right way, he's just putting bullets into them, which, you know, at the time the law is wrong, but what these people have also done is very illegal, and he feels justified because of that. So again, they're not doing the right thing, but in their head they are. So you can justify it that way, and almost feel connected to these characters because of that, and actually feel sympathy for them. So they're not good guys versus bad guys. They're all people that, yeah, they're all just guys that are just doing, you know, what they want. And because at the time it was either be good or you'll get shot. So, you know, if you're put into a corner like they were, kind of,
yeah,
you're just going to get this guns blazing thriller, which again is what it is. And that last scene where they're in the house and there's like 5 of them and they're holding off this army.
That's not happening.
Yeah, no way they are getting out of that alive, but the majority of them do. One of them dies, a few of them get some shots in, you know, they get some bullets in them, but they get away. And then eventually we get the sequel, which is, in my eyes, just probably better, but it's just crazy. I can't state how much I love this movie and how iconic it was to me in my youth, and the fact that I can still sit there and watch it now and enjoy it much more each viewing, because of just it's over the top and crazy. It's nowhere near factual. It's like I say, go and look
it's
up.
Fun. It's fun. It's just
it's
pure
fun. That's
fun.
all you want. That's all. Especially again, like I say, late 80s Hollywood. You just want fun. You recognize some of the names and you go, well, that probably happened. Here we go. Because you didn't have Google in 1988, so
no, you had to take their word for it. And now you can Google, like I just Googled Billy the Kid and learned some stuff, you know. So it's that's the power of the internet giving us the chance. Like, oh, is this act like based on a true story? The only thing it's based on is like there was a couple that crashed in a mountain. Nowadays, you know, you can get more information about what it means to be based on a true story, versus back when we were kids watching this. It's based on a true story. The only thing that's true is that it's based in the Old West, and there was a guy named Billy the Kid who created a group called the Regulators during the war. That's pretty much the only truth, and everything else is just Hollywood bullshit.
Yeah, but even then, the statement based on a true story is very loosey-goosey at best anyway. So if I said it's based on a true story, but how much is it based on a true story? Well, his name's William H. Bonney. There you go. It's based on William H. Bonney. I didn't say any of this was true, but it's based on him. So there you go. So Hollywood can get away with a lot, and they continue to do it, and they will always do it. So just switch your brain off, enjoy this movie for the fun craziness that it is set in the Old West.
I love it. I love it. Aaron, what movie are we watching next week?
Airheads.
Okay. We're watching Airheads.
Are you sure? Because this is just the first one that I saw.
That's fine. We're watching Airheads. It's good. It's good. It's good.
It's Brendan Fraser. You can't go wrong with Brendan
I know. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, coming to the end of the show, Aaron, how many stick-ups are you giving this movie?
7 out of 10. Because
7 out of 10 stick-ups.
The sequel is better, and I saw the sequel first. So, yeah, it's getting a 7, but it's so good.
All right, yeah, I can say 7 on 10, 7 stick-ups for this movie. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Phil Better. You can find me at investinyourselfpod.com as well as philbetterinc.com. He is Aaron Talks Films. He has a podcast called Aaron Talk Film, right? That's the name of your podcast?
Yep.
That comes out every Sunday, giving you the news and views of Hollywood. I want to thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the show. And stay hydrated.
You stay classy.
You can't do it. Can you do that?
That's my new sign out.
That's what you're doing?
Classy. Yes.
Stay classy. Okay.
I'm sticking with it.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.